Lewis Hamilton has arrived in China in 2026 and has done something that no one within the team expected so soon. Squeeze the SF26 to a level that not even the engineers themselves had seen in their simulations. A car with a clear engine deficit, rolling at the pace of Mercedes in the race. The surprise is not the podium. The surprise is how he has achieved it. Perfect tire management, constant pace, and a brutal ability to recover in the curve what it loses on the straight. This is not normal. This completely changes the reading of the Ferrari project. The question is inevitable. Is Hamilton proving that Ferrari has a winning car, and no one understood until now? Everything changes the moment Hamilton gets on the SF26 in China and begins to set a pace that breaks any internal forecast. Is not an isolated return. Is not a lucky strategy. It's pure consistency from the sprint to the race. First, he leads at the start of the sprint and gets into a direct fight with Russell and Leclerc. Their Ferrari gets something key, real data in maximum speed conditions with dirty air, direction changes, and tires at the limit. Then comes the race. And this is where everything is confirmed. Hamilton not only stays in the front group, he controls the pace as if the car did not have the limitations that everyone knows. Lap after lap, times remain stable. No falls, no spikes, no errors. This behavior reveals something that until now was hidden. The SF26 works better than it seemed when pushed to the right limit. And then the data appears that changes the narrative within the team. Ferrari detects that Hamilton is running close to Mercedes' pace, losing speed on the straight with each lap. This breaks all the initial hypotheses, because if the car loses on the straight but equals it in total time, it means that in the curve it is performing at an extremely high level. And that is no coincidence. It is execution. Hamilton's performance in China not only generates excitement, it also exposes a critical weakness that the team can no longer hide. Because while the Briton squeezes the car in curves, the opposite happens on the straights. The SF26 constantly loses time to Mercedes. Hamilton spots it immediately, and it doesn't soften it. It speaks directly to a power gap, especially in power delivery and acceleration. This is not a minor detail. It is a structural limitation that conditions the entire race strategy. The problem is clear. Ferrari depends on its drivers to recover in technical areas what the engine loses on the straight. This forces you to drive to the limit in every corner, to take care of tires with surgical precision, and to avoid any mistakes. Because as soon as the car enters traffic or needs to overtake, the lack of top speed becomes a wall. And here the internal dilemma appears. Ferrari has a car that works very well in curves with stability, traction, and consistency on long runs. But it doesn't have the key tool to dominate races, enough power to control rivals on the straight. This generates a dangerous consequence. The team is beginning to depend too much on Hamilton as a technical reference. Its ability to extract performance is marking development. Your feelings match the data. And that means that each decision increasingly depends on your interpretation of the car. But this approach has risk. If development adapts too much to its style, Ferrari could lose balance with Leclerc and limit its flexibility in the medium term. It is a scenario that is already beginning to be discussed within the team environment. So the situation is as promising as it is delicate. Ferrari has discovered that it has a competitive car, but it has also confirmed that, without an engine, that potential has a ceiling that Hamilton's weekend in China not only confirms performance. It provokes a much deeper conclusion within Ferrari. The car is not far from ahead, is poorly limited. Engineers see it in post-race data. Every long run of Hamilton shows a nearly perfect pattern. Minimal degradation, constant rhythm, ability to stay in the optimal window longer than rivals with a better engine. And then comes the breaking point. If a Ferrari with a power deficit is capable of running at the pace of Mercedes, what would happen if that deficit disappears? The internal response is overwhelming. The ceiling of the SF26 is not marked by the chassis or the aerodynamics. It is exclusively marked by the power unit. This completely changes the scenario of the championship, because Ferrari no longer needs a total revolution, needs a specific fix. And when a team identifies its limitations so clearly, the jump in performance can be immediate. This is where the quietest, but most determining factor comes in: the updates. The new aerodynamic package introduced in China, especially the redesign of the rear wing to reduce drag, has already started to show effects. More top speed, less drag, better overall balance, and most importantly, Hamilton validates every change on the track. Your feelings match the data. Their results support decisions. And that generates something that Ferrari has not had for a long time, a clear technical direction. But here's the real twist. Ferrari is starting to realize that it's not just building a competitive car, it's building a potentially dominant car if just one part is fixed. And in that scenario, Hamilton's name is no longer just that of a driver. Ferrari reaches the climax in China with a certainty that changes the entire project. The car works, the driver responds, and the limit is already identified. What was once doubt is now clear direction. Hamilton doesn't just get performance, order the chaos. It turns a car with deficiencies into a competitive tool, capable of fighting against Mercedes even in unfavorable conditions. And that within Maranello has enormous weight. Here the real transformation occurs. Ferrari stops reacting and starts building with intention. Every data collected in China, every long run, every fight on the track points towards the same path. Optimize what already works and directly attack the only weak point. And at the center of it all is Hamilton. His ability to maintain pace, understand the car, and validate improvements makes him more than just a driver. It becomes the reference on which the immediate future of SF26 is designed. The contrast is evident. Before, a team in adaptation looking for answers. Now, a team with a solid foundation, a clear leader, and a defined technical objective. And that leads to a conclusion that is beginning to gain strength within the paddock. If Ferrari corrects the power, it will not need to reinvent itself. You will just need to execute, because the car is already prepared. The pilot too. And when those two pieces fit together in Formula One, the result is not usually progressive, it is usually dominant. After China, the scenario no longer allows interpretations. Ferrari has gone from being a project under construction to becoming a real contender, conditioned by a single factor. Hamilton has led the way. He has shown that the SF26 can maintain race pace, take care of tires, and compete against Mercedes, even losing on the straight. That is not circumstantial. It is a solid foundation on which to build victories. And here is the direct consequence. Ferrari no longer needs to look for performance in all areas. Ferrari needs to attack a specific problem, the power unit, because everything else is already working. The car responds when cornering. The strategy can be aggressive. The pilots are lined up. And above all, the team has a clear reference on the track that validates each step. This changes the dynamics of the championship. When a team has many weaknesses, it evolves slowly. When you only have one, it evolves quickly. And that is exactly what is starting to worry in the paddock. Ferrari is no longer unpredictable. Ferrari is now dangerous. Because if that improvement in power arrives before mid-season, the current balance can be completely broken. And in that scenario, Hamilton's figure takes on another level. After China, Ferrari no longer has room to hide. The data is clear, the performance is real, and the project direction is defined. The only thing left is to execute or stay halfway. Hamilton has brought the SF26 to a critical point. He has demonstrated its true potential, and at the same time, he has exposed its only weakness without the possibility of covering it up. And in Formula One, when everything is so exposed, decisions can no longer wait. Ferrari now has a different internal pressure. It's no longer about improving little by little. It's about responding quickly, because they know that they have a car capable of winning, but they also know that, without power, every opportunity that passes may not come back. This is where the time factor comes in. If the engine evolution comes soon, Ferrari can change the season. If it is delayed, the championship can slip away before reacting. There is no middle ground. And meanwhile, Hamilton keeps pushing. He continues to perform, continues to validate improvements, and continues to demonstrate that the limit is higher than many believed. That generates inevitable internal tension, because now Ferrari is not only competing against Mercedes, McLaren, or Red Bull. Compete against your own expectations. And when a historic team enters that dynamic, it either takes the definitive leap, or the pressure consumes it. The story begins to accelerate. Ferrari has crossed an invisible line in China. It's no longer just about performance or understanding the car. Now it is about confirming whether this project has the real capacity to become dominant. Hamilton has done his part. He has pushed the SF26 to the limit, validated every improvement, and made it clear that the car can compete against the best even in unfavorable conditions. But the final act does not depend on him alone. It depends on Ferrari as a structure, because now the team has all the information on the table. He knows where he wins, he knows where he loses, and he knows exactly what he needs to make the final leap. And this is where the real judgment appears. Not on the track, in the ability to react. If Ferrari responds quickly, the championship could change hands. If you doubt, everything built in China will remain a missed opportunity. The paddock already perceives it. Mercedes continues to be the reference. But Ferrari is no longer a distant pursuer. It is a rival that, with a single improvement, can alter the balance of the entire grid. And at the center of that possible change is Hamilton. Not as a promise, not as a media signing, but as the driver who has shown that Ferrari's limit was not real. Now there's only one question that defines the entire season. Will Ferrari be able to react in time, or will it let the moment that Hamilton just created in China slip away? What happened in China in 2026 is not an isolated result. It is a direct signal to the rest of the grid. Hamilton has shown that Ferrari is not lost. He is one piece away from changing the entire championship. The SF26 has pace, stability, and tire management that allows you to compete in long runs against the best. And now there's something more important: clear technical direction, led by a driver who understands exactly where the limit is and how to overcome it. But the key is this: Ferrari already knows what its problem is. And when a team identifies its weakness with this precision, the next step is usually not small, it is usually a leap. If the power unit evolves, everything changes. If the straight line speed appears, equilibrium already exists. And if both pieces come together, Ferrari stops chasing, start to dominate. Hamilton has not only surprised engineers, it has ignited the beginning of something much bigger. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.